You've probably told yourself at least once that buying a house just isn't for you. Not yet, maybe never. Too expensive, rates are too high, you don't have 20% sitting in the bank. Everyone online says to wait, so you keep renting and you watch the rent go up and up and up anyway. But here's the question I actually want to answer in this video. What does it really cost and really take to buy your first home in Orlando right now in 2026? Not the scary version in your head or that you read online, but the real one. Because when you see the actual numbers, a lot of people find out that they were closer than they thought. And the market right now is quietly giving first time buyers something they haven't had in years. I'm Chad Gibson with the Dreamtown Homes Team with LPT here in Orlando, Florida. I've lived here about 16 years, and before real estate, I spent years as a professor, so honestly, teaching this stuff is still how I work. I'd rather walk you through the decision than talk you into anything because I can't stand that. So I'm not here to sell you a house. I'm here to help you figure out if buying one actually makes sense for you. And if it does, to make sure nobody surprises you along the way. Here's what we'll cover. Why 2026 is actually giving first-time buyers some breathing room, the 20% down payment myth and what you really need, the 4 costs that blindside new buyers, and I learned those the hard way, and the help that's out there that most renters never even hear about. So stick with me to the end because I'm also going to tell you when you should not buy yet. So let's get into it. Let's start with the market because most of what you're hearing is national noise. But Orlando, it's its own thing. For years, buying here felt like a street fight. You'd find a house, and by the time you got there, it had 11 offers, all over asking. Half of them were cash. You never even got a shop. In that market, it's cooled off. Here's what's true today. There are more homes for sale than there were a year ago. Inventory is up noticeably, and homes are taking longer to sell. A year ago, the typical Orlando home went in about 3 weeks. Now it's more like a month, or a little more than that. That doesn't sound huge, but for you as a buyer, it changes everything. It means you actually get to think. Imagine that. You can see a house twice. You can get the inspection and then take it seriously. You can ask the seller to help with your closing costs or fix something. And a lot of them will say yes now because more sellers are cutting prices and negotiating than they were a year ago. I see it every day. Now, 2 things haven't magically gotten cheaper, and I'm not going to pretend that they have. Interest rates are still hovering in the mid 6% range, not the 3s that many people got spoiled by some years ago, and prices are still near their highs. They have flattened out, but Orlando did not crash, and it's not about to. So don't sit around waiting for a 2011 fire sale because it's just not coming. But put it together. Prices are flat, rates are steady, and for the first time in a long time, you actually have choices, time, and negotiating power. That's genuinely a better setup for a first-time buyer than we've had in years. The frenzy's gone, and that's good news for you. All right, the big one, the thing that keeps more Orlando renters stuck than anything else. And that is, I don't have 20% down. Here's the truth. You almost certainly don't need 20% down. That number is a myth that for some reason just won't die, and it's keeping people renting for absolutely no reason. A regular conventional loan for a first-time buyer can go as low as 3% down. An FHA loan, which is built exactly for this, is 3.5%. And if you or your spouse ever served, a VA loan can be 0% down. If you're looking a little further out from the city and some of the more rural spots around the metro area, a USDA loan can also be 0% down. So let's make it real. And I'm going to keep this a round hypothetical number so you can get the general idea of it. Say you're buying a first home around $350,000, which in our market is often a condo, a townhome, or a small starter single family, but a bit further out. 20% would be 70 grand. Yikes. But at 3.5% down, you're talking a little over 12,000. And at 3%, right around 10.5. That's a completely different conversation. That's a number a lot of people can actually get to in a year or two of saving. And as I'll show you in a minute, sometimes with help, you don't even have to save all of it yourself. Now, smaller down payment does mean you'll carry mortgage insurance, a monthly add-on until you build up some equity. I'm not hiding that. But paying a little PMI while you own and build equity beats waiting 5 or more years to hit 20% while rents eat you alive. You just need to know it's there, so it's not a surprise. And that word surprise is the whole next chapter. Here's where I see good, smart people get caught. Not on the down payment, but on the costs around it. There are 4, and I want you to hear all 4 now instead of on move-in day. 1, closing costs. On top of your down payment, budget for closing costs. Things like lender fees, title fees, prepaid taxes, and insurance. A reasonable rule of thumb is somewhere around 2 to 5% of the price. The good news, however, remember from chapter 1, is that in this market, you can often ask the seller to cover a chunk of that or all of it, and right now, a lot of them will. 2, property taxes. Here's the Florida trap that nobody warns you about. When you buy, the tax bill you inherit might be based on the previous owner's capped homestead value. So the year after you buy it, your home's going to get reassessed, and your taxes could jump if that previous owner had the home for many years. I've seen first-time buyers blindsided by that second-year bill. Ask what the taxes will actually be for you, not what the current owner pays. 3, homeowners insurance. You've heard the Florida horror stories, and for a few years they were real, but here's some genuinely good news for once. After years of brutal increases, insurance costs are finally starting to ease. New companies have come into Florida, they're competing again, and some homeowners are seeing their first rate decreases in years. And for the one I learned the hard way, maintenance. When you rent and something breaks, you text the landlord. When you own, you are the landlord. So let me tell on myself. When I bought my first home, I bought right at the very top of what I was approved for. Felt fine until about 3 weeks in, the AC died in Florida in the peak of summer. So now I got lucky. It was under warranty, so it only cost me a couple $1,000s out of pocket instead of a lot more. But I hadn't saved a single dollar for it. I just spent it all buying the home. And it really stressed me out during what should have been a very happy time. So here's what I tell every first-time buyer now. Your pre-approval is the most a lender is willing to hand you, but in my opinion, it's not the number you should spend. You should leave yourself a cushion. Things for like surprise repairs, for that second-year tax bill, for your insurance. Buying a home should make your life better, not keep you up at night. A little breathing room is the whole difference. Now the part that generally changes math for people, and that most renters have no idea exists. There's real help out there for first-time buyers, especially right here in Central Florida. There are down payment assistance programs through the state of Florida, through the city of Orlando, and throughout Orange County that are built to help with exactly one thing that scares you, the down payment and the closing costs. Depending on the program and your income, we're talking about real money towards getting you in the door. For the right buyer, it can turn, I need to save for 3 or 4 more years into, hey, I could actually do this year. Now, I'm going to be clear with you because that is the whole point of this channel. These programs do come with rules, income limits, home buyer education classes, many times first-time buyer requirements, and you usually have to stay in the home a number of years or that assistance needs to be paid back. And here's the honest part, the funding for these programs comes and goes. Some open, some pause when the money runs out, some have a wait list. So this is not a go click a link and get a check. This is let's find out what's actually open and what you actually qualify for right now together. That's generally one of the most useful things I do for first-time buyers because I keep an eye on which programs are funded and open, and I can point you to the right lender who works with them. You should not have to figure that maze out alone. Most people never even find out if they qualify. I don't want that to be you. Okay, let me do the thing most agents won't and tell you when you should not buy right now. Because for some of you, waiting is going to be the smartest, most mature move, and you deserve to hear that too. If buying would leave you with nothing in your savings, if the down payment would clean you out and you'd have zero cushion for that AC unit, then wait. Build the cushion first. I'd rather you buy 12 months from now and be able to sleep at night than buy today and then panic at the first repair that comes along. Trust me, I've lived that panic version. It is not worth it. If your job or your income feels shaky right now, or you might move cities in the next year or two, I think you should wait. A house is a lousy short-term play. You want to be somewhere long enough for it to work for you and gain equity. And if your credit needs a little work, that's not a no. That's a let's spend a few months getting your score up so you get a better rate, which can save you real money every single month for 30 years. So waiting can absolutely be the right answer. The point of this video was to never push you to buy. The point is to make the decision to buy or wait on purpose with real numbers in front of you, instead ruling yourself out from the sidelines because of a myth or fear. All right, so can you buy your first home in Orlando in 2026? For a lot of you, the honest answer is you're closer than you've been telling yourself. The frenzy's gone. You probably need a lot less down than you thought. And there's real help if you qualify. And the surprises are only surprises if no one warned you. But now you've been warned. Here's what I love to do for you with zero pressure. Let's grab about 30 minutes. You tell me where you're at, and I'll give you the real picture. Roughly what you need to get in, what programs might be open for you right now, and whether the smart move is this year or a little down the road. And if my honest read is you should definitely wait a bit, I will tell you that. The link to grab a time is right below in this video in the description. And I made you a free first-time buyer's cost and assistance checklist so you can see every one of those numbers in one place. And that link's down there too. If this helped you, please consider subscribing because the next person sitting exactly where you are right now needs to hear this too. I'm Chad Gibson, and whenever you're ready, let's unlock the door to what's next. See you in the next one.